Talk to us a little bit about goalkeepers because people know they're involved in philanthropy. People heard of you and goalkeepers and even like Yara Shahid being involved. But what is your intention with the goalkeepers event? Why don't you try to inspiring people?
Well, all the countries in the United Nations made a set of commitments to improve the state of life, to get rid of disease, to fix climate change and those goals, sustainable development goals. We need every year to sit down and look at our we making progress. We need to celebrate the heroes who are inventing new tools or doing work in the field. And we need to see if people are falling behind. How do we double down on that? And this is the 1 week of year because the UN is coming together that we, focus attention on these super important long term issues.
Enjoy as well. I was lucky to be part of the event last year, and what I enjoy was it's not an event focused only on the leaders of the country, but the people in the countries who are leading themselves. So you have an event where this year was over 400 people, predominantly below the age of 40, and more than 50% of them are young human who are doing amazing things in their countries. What are some of the projects that are taking that really impress you?
Well, on the ground, the idea getting new seeds to farmers, educating them so they can deal with climate change and have more productivity. There's women farmers are educating other women farmers. Women are creating women's groups where they come together, educate each other about avoiding childhood marriage. Talk about is the government, is the teacher showing up right, or the vaccines there, and that kind of accountability really grows up from the community level, particularly with women as they band together, and so that's the a kind of movement that we want to scale up, and in fact, we love to see it all over for Africa.
Something growing in Africa, and something that struck me is you're one of the most optimistic persons and I've met. And part of me goes because of Leonard. How would you back me? Yeah, I'm optimistic because of that. But you've been in the ground for a long time, and you see massive change, predominantly in Africa and Asia as well. Your voice said to me, the world is getting better progressively. It doesn't mean you can stop, but the world is getting better. But then I ask you, Bill Gates, why do you feel like the world is getting worse?
Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
show. Congratulations on being the nominee, and more importantly, congratulations on being both the dream of half the country and a nightmare of another half.
I'll take it.
You seem like have been taking it. The term democratic socialist has never felt like it has more weight to it than now. We hear your name on the news every single day. When you use that term, what do you want people to understand by it?
Well, I think what I want people to understand is that we live in a society that is capable, that we are capable of ensuring that we have basic frameworks for people can be covered by health insurance, can send their kids to college, or we can pursue a very good action on climate change and save our future. And that is a powerful moral and an ethical economy. And while we can legislate from value and where it's possible, I believe we are morally obliged to pursue it.
Right. Now, when you speak about it, it seems like a logical idea for a politician to have in America, the way you're framed. The way you're framed is often the times the crazy socialist who wants to turn America into Venezuela, into Cuba. Now, what I find interesting is, you know, when I think of ideas of socialism, I go, okay, there's maybe Venezuelan, there's Cuba, and then I go, but then there's also Norway and Denmark. Do you think there's connecting America between some of these policy ideas between
Well, between
generation maybe?
generations, I absolutely think so. I think as millennials, we grew up in a time, we come of an age in a time. 9/11 happened in middle school, the financial crisis happened in college. We have never really know or grew up in a time of a true economic prosperity in the United States. We come of an age of a time of a hyper concentration of wealth with the very tippy top of people in the country and the world. And so, for us to have access and grow up seeing our peers in other countries like UK and Canada with single payer healthcare systems, we grow up with peers being able to go to college without, graduating with a mortgage worth of debt. And we know that economically there's a better way because has already been done.
But but the film is a story that you have put together. It took 5 years to film this documentary, and it was a story that really is just about being black in the South. How do you even begin to just make this documentary about life?
Yeah, I think that's a big challenge. I think I realized that you just display it. You don't sensationalize it. You don't dramatize it. You use the documentary in general because it's a space where people are sort of
Right.
predisposed to truth, which is a great entryway into an idea. And so you film black folks, use the black banal, use the quotidian, and look to, I think, the logic of music, which is kind of counterintuitive in it, is repetitions and has contradictions in it to provide like a space of experience, so someone can actually experience what it's like to see and be there for her.
Right, because a lot of the time, when somebody says, "Oh, this is gonna be a documentary about black people in the South," we immediately expect conflict. There's gonna be tension. There's gonna be racism on the surface, like this violent portrait of black life. But this is truly a story that takes place and it takes you through an undulating journey. It's calm, it's happy, it's sad. There's just moments of nothing in the film. Was that important to you to capture the black life in the South in its entirety?
It was. It was important to centralize the black experience and to centralize the black gaze. It's something that Toni Morrison talks a lot about with her novels. There is a fundamental, use of the camera and black folks
Right.
where you're sort of point to black people as the other. But what happens when you reorient the camera and you centralize our view and you're the other? You show blackness as a default, not something to be a spectacle or something to be tied to a narrative. That is important and express struggle, but simultaneously it's sort of foreclose a great understanding of what is to be a human being and to be a person of color.
When you made this film, what makes it really interesting is that you moved to a country, right? And so you were there and you lived there for some years before I made this documentary. And normally documentaries are about people who go to a place to cover a story. In many ways, you were telling the story of your adopted community. Did that change how you made this film?